Zach Roloff from Little People. Big World prepares for tough talks with Jackson Roloff. His son has already brought up the topic of being a dwarf. However, he feels it's important not to overreact in those moments. Zach Roloff tells his wife, Tori Roloff, about his conversation with their son, Jackson Roloff, about being a dwarf. Their son asked him why his friend, Beckett, couldn't play in the Dwarf Athletic Association of America sports tournament with him. DA hosts tournaments to give people with dwarfism the chance to play on sports teams with people of the same stature. The Little People, Big World reality star told his son that his friend couldn't play because he was not a dwarf. Jackson was caught off guard. He asked his dad if he was a dwarf and what it meant. Zach reveals to Tori that he had to have the dwarf talk with their son way too early. He explains that his son was a little confused. He asks, why aren't other people dwarfs? The TLC celeb explains to Jackson that is how God made him. However, he feels his son was fine with it. Yet he believes his son thought he was calling him names. Zach doesn't prefer to have the dwarf talk. However, he knows that these moments will arise, so he knows he will have these conversations. He understands that Jackson will start asking questions and be curious about himself. But the Little People, Big World cast member doesn't have these conversations planned out in his head. He will wait and see how his children bring it up and go from there. However, he doesn't think it will be a conversation. He feels that there will be moments when they are curious. Zach explains that when it comes to talking about dwarfism, he is a big believer that the more he and Tori react to everything, the more it will affect their kids. He feels that they will be affected negatively if he and his wife are affected negatively by it. So he feels it is important that they don't overreact when the topic is brought up. Zach Roloff doesn't think it's about him and Tori Roloff in that moment. He feels it's about how the conversation will affect their kids for the next 50 years. He explains that how he and his wife react in the early stages will affect how Jackson Roloff and their kids deal with being dwarfs for the rest of their lives. The Little People, Big World castmate reveals that when Jackson asks him questions about dwarfism, he is always truthful. However, Zach is also careful about how he presents himself. He doesn't want to show too much emotion or make too big of a deal of it. He wants to help his son mentally keep up.